that's the promised land, not the Holy Land. You know what I mean? For what he did on the field, that's just my opinion. Now, people have their opinion. My opinion is Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame for what he did on the baseball field as a player.
And I'm in love with the good life. Can't give it up. Make it to the top. Keep climbing. I wanna live it up. The good life. I'm coming up. I'm coming up. The good life. Good life. Oh, good life. Good life. Good life. Good life.
Boom! Coming in hot on a Monday, Chich. What's going on, dude?
Look at you. You're riding high. You're riding high on this Monday, dude, because you're coming in hot. Kent State baseball, big W over the weekend. I saw a guy hit a home run in one of those games. It's pretty legit.
Bro, I mean, there's moments where you have with your kids sometimes. You're like, oh, man. And Jake gave me one of those moments this weekend, dude. He hit a 3-run homer basically to beat East Carolina. It was a 4-4 game in the 7th. Hit a 3-run bomb to left center. But it was one of the coolest moments of my life, Chich. I'm above. It's like 4,000 people there, probably 3,500, 4,000 people. East Carolina's got a great fan base, great guys. Pat Watkins, my man, one of my favorite guys that I ever played with the Reds. He was there. I saw him, but he went to East Carolina. But Jake hit this 3-run homer that put him up 7-4 in the 7th, and the place went dead silent. And I was sitting above the third base dugout, which was East Carolina's dugout. And Jake's rounding third, and he's like pointing at me. And I'm standing up, and I'm saying, let's effing go. Let's effing go. And I'm the only one cheering like that. The Kent State families are cheering too. But I'm looking at a moment with Jake, looking at him going, it was just so cool, dude. I mean, forever in my life till the day I, take that last breath, bro, I'll remember that moment, man.
That's
forever.
so good. Do you know my alma mater didn't have a great weekend in baseball? I don't know if you saw it.
Columbia, yeah, against Oregon, though, right?
Yes, they played Oregon. It's a very good team. They lost one of the games, Case.
Yeah.
35-1.
Ooh, did they really?
35-1.
That's tough to do, actually.
It's very tough to do. That's almost impossible.
Well, the shortstop on Columbia is a good friend of mine. My buddy Mark Miller, Sam Miller, is probably going to get drafted this year. Stud shortstop, off to a pretty good start, but maybe he got taken out of that 35-1 game.
The Lions are no joke, man. They've been great for years. But
no, they're good, dude. They're good. And I agree. I agree with, like, I was watching Princeton too, because Caden Shapiro, Mark Shapiro's son's on there. I like following him too. They're playing Miami. They're playing Wake Forest, dude. Take your spring trip and get beat up, but get better because you're facing the best players in the country. Then you come back to Ivy League and you're like, oh, dude, we just faced a guy at freaking Oregon throwing 98.
I'll give you guys a quick little rundown of how the Ivy League season goes. You come out in your spring practices outside. There's goose crap all over the field. It's 24 degrees. Some days you're snowing in practice. Then you go down. We used to go down to Boca. They used to FAU and FIU used to take us all down there and just beat the bag out of us. I remember my freshman year, we went down there. You're feeling good. It's all warm. Your arm feels good now for the first time because you're not freezing fingertips. And I'm looking and I'm like, wait, these guys are FAU. They're like ranked ninth in the nation. How are they that already? They're 14-1, and we're on 0. We're on 0. They got guys with like 7 home runs, and we're like first at bat facing a guy who's throwing 97, who got drafted last year and was like, oh, I'm going to come back for my senior year and work on my splitter.
Oh, it's so funny.
Get smoked. But you know what? It is what it is.
True. But dude, but who's the best team you played when you were at Columbia?
We played Wake. We played some great teams, dude. You can look. Here's the difference between Ivy League and well, at least when I played. I don't want to speak for how it is now, but like your ace at Princeton or Harvard or whatever, going up against their ace, you can beat anybody.
You can beat anybody, dude.
It's Division I college baseball.
Dude, Princeton beat Wake Forest the other day, 7-6.
There you go. That's
Wake Forest is 12 in the country.
Yeah, it's a depth thing. Up north, you do not have the depth. Right. You don't have the extra pitchers coming in. You don't have a freshman coming in who in 3 years you don't have 3 freshmen on your bench who are going to be first or second rounders. Right. That's the difference. That's the only difference. It's the depth of the roster.
Yeah.
That your best Ivy League best can beat anybody's best
Yeah.
in any game. And baseball's different too. It's not like you're facing Jordan and Pippen.
Right. He can beat anybody on any given day.
Yeah, so that's where it is. Everybody relax about the Ivy League baseball. It's still good, right? I'm looking at I had to put my phone down. I was like, this isn't nice what people are saying. Anyway, still, we'll keep it rolling. Dude, there's a huge story that just broke moments ago, okay? Are you ready for this?
Yeah, tell me.
Okay, where is it? So you saw Friday night out of nowhere, the president of the United States, Donald Trump, was like, hey, I'm pardoning Pete Rose.
Yeah, I saw that.
And hey, MLB, you know, put him in the Hall of Fame. It was like, whoa, this came out of nowhere because there's a couple other news stories going on politically in the world. He posts this, and the weekend goes, and, you know, everybody starts chiming in on it, you know, all the newspapers, whatever. This is Sporting News. I'm looking at this. This was 23 minutes ago. Okay, ready? Here's what the line is. Quote, Commissioner Rob Manfred is considering a petition filed on January 8th by Pete Rose's family to have Major League Baseball's all-time hit leader posthumously, what is that called? Whatever it is. Yeah. Removed from baseball's ineligible list. ESPN's Don Van Natta Jr. reported, quote, MLB sources acknowledge the commissioner met with Fawn Rose and Rose's lawyer, Jeffrey Lenkov, and that Manfred is now reviewing the petition to reinstate Rose.
Wow.
That's a big story. Am I crazy?
Well, that's the first step to Cooperstown, right? He's got to get reinstated first. Dude, has he not paid the price, man?
Oh,
come on. At the end of the day, like, come on. I mean, I don't know, man. I know, like I said, I got to know Pete over the years. I just feel like with the environment, too, in baseball nowadays, as far as betting goes, like as far as betting goes in sports, like, at the end of the day, Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, dude. Like I said, that's the promised land, not the holy land. You know what I mean? For what he did on the field, that's just my opinion. Now, people have their opinion. My opinion is Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame for what he did on the baseball field as a player. You know, and obviously, gambling on baseball. You know, he never bet on the Reds to lose. You know, I always feel that way. Like, you know, he didn't go that shady. He always bet on him to win. Yeah. But, you know, I don't know, man. I feel like it's a step in the right direction, and you know, there's got to be forgiveness. And I do think that, you know, that Pete Rose has paid his price. You know, and Pete Rose has paid his price, and that you know, it's time to take another look. I remember having a conversation with Pete. I said, Pete, do you think you'll ever get in the Hall of Fame? He goes, when I'm dead. He said that to me. He said, when I'm dead, Case, they'll look at it again. But he said, not till I'm gone. Wow. And he's right. I mean, at least I love that President Trump did that. Thought that was really cool. And then seeing Manfred get involved now and maybe to reinstate him, that doesn't mean he's going to get in because, like, obviously people have their opinions on Pete, and he's a very polarizing figure. Mm-hmm. But, you know, for what he did for baseball and what he meant to baseball, I think Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. He made a mistake. He confessed up to the mistake. He paid the price. I actually think if Bart Giamatti was stayed alive for a couple years more, he would have reinstated Pete. But Bart Giamatti was the commissioner at the time when he suspended Pete for life, banned him for life. That, you know, he died like 8 months later.
Yeah, and you know, look, it's all relative, and you could see both sides of the argument, I guess. But like, I mean, just look at Sammy Sosa in Cubs camp now, and like things like that. Like these guys, there's a lot worse things that go on in this world than what these guys have been kind of punished for. I say that kind of on one side of my mouth. On the other side of my mouth, yes, cheating's cheating, whatever. But again, I don't think anybody could argue that Pete Rose didn't feel the penalty to what happened to him. His entire life was his second. It was like there were two Pete Roses. Pete Rose, the guy who was the hit king and was a great manager and all that. And then there was Pete Rose, who was literally like, I'm sorry, just please, this is all I want in my life. And so what are you going to do, man? We all make mistakes, like you said.
And the problem is, you know, the cover-up was the problem. He denied it for all those years, then came out and said he did it. And, you know, I don't think some of the players, you know, Cooperstown players took too kindly to that. And, you know, but I do think he has apologized. He like I said, like you said, Chinch, his whole life is baseball. I mean, you talk about a prison sentence. A prison sentence for Pete Rose was to not be able to come to the ballpark, not to be able to be a part of, what the game that he loved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On a mistake that he made, and also too in an addiction. You know what I mean? And I think the biggest thing was he kept gambling. I think that's going. He had at Caesars, still doing his thing, never really stopped gambling. I think that probably hurt him too. But like I said, at the end of the day, I'd like to see Pete. I'd like to see Pete at least get reinstated and hopefully have a chance to get into Cooperstown at one point.
Right. And again, it's the Hall of Fame. It's not the Hall of Character, to be honest. If you look at some of the guys who are in, there's some, for every 1 in 10 people that aren't great people, there's probably 1 in 10 Hall of Famers who are the most characterly driven folks.
Yeah. I would say so.
Go watch the Ty Cobb movie.
Dude, yeah, and it's like that scripture reading where Jesus says, take the plank out of your eye before you take the splinter out of somebody else's. I mean, we're so quick to judge other people and so quick to like bury other people and all that stuff. And like, hey, be the best version of yourself. Stay in your lane and make sure that you're doing the right thing before you're just judging everybody else and look what they're doing. You know what I mean? All that stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what happens there. We're obviously going
that's an interesting.
You're Cincinnati Reds Hall of Famer, dude. I mean, this is a big deal.
And dude, you don't think listen. When Pete Rose went into the Cincinnati Red Hall of Fame, that was a big deal. And when you go back, the honor of wearing that red jacket and going back for those ceremonies and looking down, there's Pete Rose. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
And the guys love Pete, man. Pete holds court. He gets going with his stories.
Yeah.
He's a good guy, man. Like I said, people have their opinions on it, but in my opinion, Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame.
There you go. You can only go by what you see in person, man. He's good to you. All right, that's good. There's another guy who's probably a future Hall of Famer already. I'll say it. He's only pitched like 8 games in his career, but Paul Skenes came out yesterday, got batted around a little bit, and everybody's like, "Oh no, Paul Skenes," because we rushed to judgment. However, here's the bigger story. He's trying to add 2 pitches to his arsenal, Sean, that he already has. What? A cutter and a sinker. Here's his quote. When you're working on new stuff, you're trying to figure out how it will affect each other. So I'm focused on getting in his zone, seeing where we're at. So he got, he gave up a couple hits, couple runs, but it's like, the bigger story is like, holy cow, he's adding to his arsenal.
Wow. I mean, how does that guy add to his arsenal? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, that's what guys are doing nowadays, Chinch. I mean, guys are having 5-6 pitches. You know what I mean? Really, it's true.
Yep.
And what's his name? Seth Lugo, I think, has 8. You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
Because I almost feel like the pitch shaping can neutralize certain hitters. You have a right-handed hitter that's not good with the inside pitch, the two-seamer neutralizes them, and the slider away. You have a cutter on a tough lefty, you can neutralize him in a big situation. It means like just to have that in your toolbox is huge, and I think that's what Skenes looks at. Like, hey, anything I have in my toolbox in a situation I might need it. Why not have it? Not to say that, I think the great pitchers have probably 4 pitches they throw where they could dominate with. But I look back at Roy Halladay, dude. Roy Halladay had like 6 pitches, dude. It was a very, very uncomfortable. Every at bat was like he was mixing and matching differently. He'd hit you with a sinker, curveball first at bat. Then he'd come up, cutter, change up. You're like, you get to your third at bat, you're like, no idea what's going on here. Then four-seamer, slider. Your fourth at bat, you're like, oh my God, he's not sequenced the same way. He's above average on 6 pitches, and that's what made him so devastating. So if Paul Skenes gets a couple more pitches, I mean, it's going to be lights out.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, remember, John Smoltz told us, he threw Barry Bonds a knuckleball once just to do it, just to mess with his head. And if you're going up there against Paul Skenes, you were just a hitting coach, what do you show people? Hey, he might throw this, but he doesn't throw this at all the same time. It's
you just got to stay aggressive and hopefully get a pitch out over the plate. You're as a big league hitter, you're trying to hit mistakes. As a hitter, college, I don't care, high school, you're trying to hit mistakes. Mm-hmm. You're not trying to hit nasty pitches. So if you're up there against Paul Skenes, you got to hunt out over the plate. And I'll never forget what I believe Hank Aaron said. He's like, I made my living off the 3, 4, and 5 guys. You know, that's how you turn the lights on. That's how you pay the water bill. You know, 1 and 2, you're grinding to get a 1 for 4, 0 for 3 with a walk. You know, sometimes seriously.
Yeah.
So a guy like Paul Skenes, I remember facing Roy Halladay. Like, I'm trying to get 1 today, and if I got a big situation, I'm competing my butt off to try and grind to get a couple ribbies, maybe win a ball game. But you get a guy like that that's on, like a Paul Skenes, man, you're just hoping for a mistake and be ready to hit. Like, you cannot take 1 pitch off ever, but especially a guy like Paul Skenes, you better be ready to go because you might get that 1 pitch and you better be able to hit it. And that's the one thing, Change, about big leaguers, big league 1s and 2s, usually 1s. You might not see a pitch. You might get 3 at-bats against this guy, 4 at-bats, come back to the hitting coach or back to the bench and go, or after the game, you're in the shower or you're talking to guys in the clubhouse. Go, I didn't get a pitch to hit.
Right.
I didn't get 1 pitch to actually hit. Everything was on the edges. Everything was running away. Everything was running north to south. Nothing was really out over the plate, and that's why they're 1s. That's why Paul Skenes is Paul Skenes. You have a below a 2 ERA. Guys aren't getting pitches to hit.
That's why it was amazing that you didn't strike out that much. That's the one thing I always look at, like pro pitchers. Like I don't know how Juan Soto ever gets a hit because everybody's trying to not throw him, not let him hit the ball. It's just amazing. It's amazing.
Dude, I got a great story. Dusty Baker told me this story one time. It was Dusty Baker and Joe Morgan. It was like Sunday Night Baseball. And the night before, it was Sunday Night Baseball. They come up to talk. Joe Morgan comes up to talk to Bake. He was the manager. He was the manager for the Giants at the time. Bonds was just dominating everybody. I think this is 2004. And the night before, dude, this is Bonds' line. He went 2 for 2 with 2 homers and 2 walks. Saw 15 pitches. He saw 2 strikes. So Joe Morgan's like, dude, how do you do it? I mean, that line's incredible with that 2 for 2, 2 homers, 15 pitches. You saw 2 strikes. You walked twice. He goes, hey, listen. He goes, I'm looking for the fat fastball down the middle. When it's there, I ain't missing it. So think about the mentality you have to have. Like, because if you get caught up with, hey, these guys aren't pitching to me, that like kind of like victim mentality, well, guess what? When they do, you're not going to be ready, right? And all of a sudden, you're not dangerous. So Barry Bonds is like, every pitch, I take the breath, I settle in, I'm looking to hammer something down the middle. When it's there, I hammer it. I don't care if you throw me 9,000 balls in a row. If you throw 9,001 pitches and it's down the middle, I'm hammering it. And that's how you hit 73 home runs when you walk 200 plus times a year, dude.
Yeah.
It's incredible. But that mentality, as a hitter, you got to have that mentality. Hunt, 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 hunt the fastball, hunt, look for it down the middle. A lot of times when the ball, you might crush a ball and think it's down the middle, Chinch. You go back and look at the replay, it's middle away, it's middle in. But because your eyes, you gave the focus of your eyes to hunt down the middle, it looks down the middle, right? And that's what I just love that mentality. That's why a guy like Barry Bonds is Barry Bonds. Doesn't waste a pitch. It doesn't matter what you're doing. He knows what he's doing every pitch, not wasting it. Greatest player of all time.
Greatest player of all time, dude. Yeah. His walks, man. He had the one year, dude, where he had 232 walks. He had 200.
How many homers did he have that year?
This is the thing. This is why
40-something.
I kind of argued this is his greatest season. It was 2004. He led the league in everything's black on the old baseball reference here. He led the league in everything. Okay, 232 walks. He hit 362 with 45 home runs, dude, and 101 RBIs. He had 617 total plate appearances. He had 373 at-bats after the walks and everything.
That's ridiculous, dude. I got another Barry Bonds story. Ready for this?
Let's do it. Yeah.
That year, 2004, is the year that I brought up the other day where I was 324, 24 bombs, 44 doubles, 36 strikeouts, 99 ribbies, 101 runs scored. It was a great year. I was 1-2 with Bonds, I think as late as September. He was hitting 370. I was hitting 340 something. And I'm playing, I'll never forget, I come up first at bat, rocket to left, boom, I'm 1 for 1. I come up 2 for 2. So Bonds comes up, and I remember, when you get to August and you're in a batting race, you're like, all right, you're checking the guys. But I look at Bonds like 1 for 1, 3 walks, 0 for 1, 3 walks, 2 for 3, 2 walks. I'm like, oh my God, this guy walks freaking so much, which reasonably so because he was the best player in the game. People weren't treating me that way. I walked 40 times that year. He walked 40 times in a month, right? So He comes up. We're in San Fran. I'm 2 for 2. He comes to first base. He walked for a second time. He gets his lead. Now, he knows I'm 2 for 2. My average is climbing. His average isn't moving. I couldn't catch him because his average wasn't moving. I'm 30 points behind. And he gets his lead, Chinch. Turns around. He's like, hey, you ain't catching me.
Oh, man.
You ain't catching me, dude. And I was like, I know I'm not. You walk every freaking at bat. How can anybody catch you? Nobody pitches to you. You got 373 official plate appearances because freaking you got 200 some walks, which is incredible. Congratulations on being the greatest player of all time, but like swing the bat.
That's so great.
Got the lead, dude. I was behind him, guy on first and second. You ain't catching me, dude. I was like,
that is an amazing story. Now, that reminds me that Kevin Millar told us this story, I think, on our show once. The elite guys are so much different that he said Jim Thome got to first base one day and Millar was struggling a little, and he's like, I can't hit the ball out of the ballpark, whatever. And Thome gets there, and he's so nice to him always, and he's like, keep swinging it, man. You're looking great. You look great at the plate. And he goes, Jim, I have 9 home runs. He goes, you hit 7 last week. And it's an amazing thing, those guys. You always say it. They're at a level beyond the level, beyond that level.
It's incredible. Yeah, like a guy like Albert Pujols back in the day, Bonds, those guys, just different level.
Freaky. Anyway, all right, we got more stuff to go over this week. We're gonna tomorrow. Let's look at the standings, and I'm gonna ask you. You brought this up. Like, what does it matter in the spring? What do we care about that stuff? Maybe we'll get into that tomorrow. We'll keep our eyes on this Pete Rose story. That's the whole.
Yeah. It's gonna be. I love it. Just that Pete Rose is in the news.
Yeah.
Baseball and Rob Manfred involved. I think Donald Trump. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. All right, brother.
All right, man. Chinchy, have a great rest of the day. Everyone out there, thanks for listening. Subscribe, download. We're gonna send that ball out too, bro.
Oh yes. Okay. All right. Tomorrow.
Let's talk about that. Call me later.
I will.
See everybody. Catch you tomorrow. Get it.